Willie D Live.
What's up, family? Political pundit to the left, Van Jones, says Charlie Kirk reached out to him in a message about getting together to respectfully disagree about some major issues the day before he was murdered. And it underscored what Kirk was really about. Van shared the alleged DM from Charlie with Anderson Cooper on CNN. And it's basically Charlie reaching out to get Van to debate him on the Charlotte train stabbing. Here's a more public message Charlie sent Van 2 days before he was murdered. Van Jones, I'm not ashamed, but you should be. You are part of a media cabal that tried to silence this story because it exposes the gross incompetence of Democrats' so-called criminal justice reform. You and other talking heads on TV are complicit in the revolving door that lets these violent criminals roam our streets to maim and murder. Let's stop right there. Violent criminals roaming the streets to maim and murder. On the surface, it sounds like Charlie is just a really concerned citizen. Sounds like a, good guy, But if you put it in proper context, one would have to say, well, what did Charlie say about the school shootings? What has he said about the school shootings? What has he said about the mass murderers? What has he said about funding mental health? Is he for it? Or was he for it? Or was he against it? Anyway, Van and Charlie had been going back and forth over whether the Ukrainian refugee who was killed because she was white, and it was heated. Van went on to say that Charlie, despite their beef, their differences, reached out to him to have a civilized discussion on the issue. The message reads, "Hey Van, I mean it. I'd love to have you on my show to have a respectful conversation about crime and race. I would be a gentleman, as I know you would be as well. We can disagree about the issues agreeably." Van said Charlie sent him the message the day before he was killed in Utah. He explains he's sharing the message now after all the narratives about civil war and censorship in the wake of Charlie's death. And he says Charlie stood for none of those things. Van says he and Charlie were mortal enemies, but the fact Charlie still wanted to get together for civil debates speaks volumes. This is my problem with these so-called civil debates. When you're saying uncivilized things, what can be civil about the debate? I don't believe in people just sitting down to debate just to debate. I like to have an understanding. I like to try to get an understanding about things. We can be polar opposites. We can have polar opposite opinions. But if I'm gonna sit down with you, I want to sit down with you to try to get an understanding. I don't want to sit down so I can go, "Hey, and the car stayed on the corner right there," and you say, "No, the car kept moving." No, let's try to get an understanding. I'm not finna sit down and just chop it up so that people can be entertained. What are we learning from this? How are we growing from this? Now, I did hear some people saying stuff like Charlie wanted a civil war and everything. I don't think he really wanted a civil war. He had young children. Usually people who have young children, they don't want to risk that. They don't want to risk being out of their children's lives. It's these people who have lived their life to the fullest or don't have children at all that be ready to risk it all. Oftentimes, not all the time, but oftentimes. And sometimes it's people that don't give a damn about those kids, and they just want to get it on. I don't think that he was waking up every day saying, I want war. But his message was definitely inciting. The question is, did Charlie Kirk promote civil war? Not necessarily. However, Charlie did use language that suggests serious polarization, warnings about what might happen if people stop talking, and even mentioned Civil War type ideas. But the evidence doesn't clearly show he called for an actual civil war. There's a quote that exists on public record of Charlie specifically saying this in regards to Civil War. When people stop talking, that's when you get violence. That's when Civil War happens. That phrasing is more of a warning that breakdown in dialogue can lead to violence rather than demanding or inciting war. So, I absolutely agree with that piece. Yeah, I agree with that. But here's the thing. A lot of people that was listening to Charlie Kirk, they don't know the difference. All they hear him saying is, them over there, they did this, they did that, them. And now they want to hurt something. Yeah. Van Jones, I don't know what he was doing. I don't even know what he was trying to do. What was the purpose of him putting that out there? Because if you look at Charlie Kirk, the overall person, it's almost like he's trying to sanitize him. Yeah, like, nah, man, you gotta see, when I go, I need people to call it what it is. Like, each and every one of us, we preach our own eulogy every day by the way we live. And if we don't want people saying certain things about us when we die, family, remember when Malcolm Jamal Warner died? The outpouring of love. So many people, just so much great stuff to say about it. People from all walks of life. Just universally. Good stuff, just good words. Words of encouragement for the family. Nothing but love and support. Malcolm earned that. He worked for that. Yeah, and we all work for it. However you want to call it, whatever you... Look, man, y'all can get out there and be fake if you want to. You only got one life to live. Why would you live it fake? Why would you live your life fronting? Why would you live your life pretending to be something you're not? Or pretending that something or someone is what they're not, or what it is not. Come on, fam. You gotta call a strike and a ball a ball. Van Jones, man, I'm just glad he didn't cry. Because he will cry. He could have kept that to himself. He could have just kept that to himself. Because it really ain't gonna change nobody's opinion of Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk got enough information out there. There's enough videos out there. He did a lot of talking. There's enough evidence out there to form a very intelligent opinion about who Charlie Kirk was and what he believed in. No more talk.
Where do we go from here? How did we get this way? How do we go back to yesterday? Where do we go from here? How did we get this way? How do we go back to yesterday? We look accurate. Two sides, but no one wants to be.